let's go to the granular level. So ask another important question. But yes, in Johannesburg, in Ekurhuleni, in the West End, where exactly in those areas? And how many cases are we having? Now you would see that we have a full breakdown of the hotspots at sub-district level. Sub-district level, we go into a district and say, this is the heat, this is where the heat is, this is where we actually need to dedicate interventions in those areas. So what would be our big concern? In Johannesburg, we've got the following areas that would be our big concern in terms of the number of active cases. There is an area that is from Rosebank to the CBD of Johannesburg and to Mayfair. That would be an area of great concern to us. Now, we have there 142 active cases. We also have an area in the parts of Johannesburg that include Rodiport, Florida, Constantia Kloof, Northgate, that has 102 active cases. So anything at that level, once it gets to 100, yes, we watch those cases from 10, but when it gets to 100, it becomes a big concern for us. And then we also have another area in Johannesburg. These are the sub-districts of Johannesburg where we have 101 cases. That is in the Sandton, Alexandra, Orange Grove, Wynberg area. We have 101 active cases. But look at what's happening in the inner city in particular. We have 229 active cases. So the inner city of Johannesburg, so this week as we speak, the inner city of Johannesburg has become a hotspot for us as we speak. So it has got the largest number of active cases in Johannesburg, the inner city of Johannesburg. If you go to Ekurhuleni, okay, let's look at Tshwane first. The area in Tshwane would be from the CBD of Tshwane, Pretoria West, up to Atteridgeville. We have 77 cases. In Tshwane, 77 is a lot. We have said before, we were very concerned with the north and northwestern areas of Tshwane, from Soshanguve, Mabopane, Karankua, Winterveld. You would see the number of active cases in those areas are much fewer now. After the interventions we have made, we saw in 1 week increases in the number of cases. We marshaled our resources there, including those, the tests we did at the shopping malls, especially Soshanguve shopping mall, and the mobilization of the resources to go and get a public education in those areas. So at the moment, we are happy with that area in Tshwane, that is the Soshanguve, Mabopane, Karankua, Winterveld area, but we don't want to lower the guard. So we would be worried in Tshwane around the area from the CBD to the Pretoria West right up to Atteridgeville. But there would also be another area in Tshwane that would be of concern to us, that would cover Olivenhout-Bosch, Lodium, Danville. No, in fact, it is Olivenhout-Bosch, Eldorraine, Littleton, and Roy Hayes-Kral. That's the Centurion area. We've got 63 cases in the Centurion area. So in Tshwane, at the moment, the number of cases that are preoccupying us is the CBD to right up to Atteridgeville, Saltsville, and the Centurion area. Centurion was the hotspot right from the beginning, but even in Centurion, it is now different places other than the ones that were the hotspots right at the beginning. So that would be our concern in Tshwane. If you look at Ekurhuleni, we have always said to you, Ekurhuleni North 1, which would be the areas that would include Kempton. North 1 is Kempton Park, Tembisa, right up to Winnie Mandela, would be Ekurhuleni North 1. combines Kempton Park and portions of Kempton Park and Tembisa. We have 106 active cases there. So that's where the increase has come. But one of the interventions we put in Ekurhuleni North 1 has been to do the test at the outbreak at a factory called Farmwise. We have been able to contain the impact of that cluster outbreak there on the number of people, especially in the Tembisa settlements, including Winnie Mandela and across into Johannesburg, Ivory Park. We've been able to contain that there are not too many people. We have done testing there, we have done tracing. In fact, in all these areas, the critical thing is once people test positive, our teams, tracing teams, have to find their contacts, ensure that those contacts can either self-quarantine or self-isolate, or we will then take them into our quarantine sites. The second area in Ekurhuleni would be the Alberton, Germiston area. There are 95 cases there. If you combine Alberton, Germiston area, it would be the second area of focus. Then in Sedibeng has 47 cases. In the overall scheme of things, it may appear small, but it is a region that has been green. Green means it has largely been a COVID-free region. 47 is not something you can ignore. Those 47 active cases, we would be interested in where they are. So we don't want an increase of a region that is principally largely COVID-free. Sedibeng is one of those areas where we even have a whole municipality that has got cases that are just 7 active cases. Lesedi in Sedibeng it's amongst the lowest number of active cases, only 7 active cases. It's almost COVID-free, and MEC, we must declare those areas in our province where we have had cases and there's full recovery and there are no new infections, we want to declare them fully COVID-free. But when you have 47 cases that are largely in Ekurhuleni, we would be monitoring. And then go back to the West Rand. So the West Rand is our area of great concern at the moment. And where in the West Rand? You see principally, yes, in Mogale City we do have 71 cases, active cases there. But the big area of concern is really in Merafong, in the mining areas of Merafong. Rand West, yes, we've got a few cases there, 23. And actually we know there is a mine in Rand West. Is that Harmony? Yes, where we have recently just gotten. Harmony used to have no cases. In fact, there was only one case when we met with the mines. They have reported a few cases there. But most of those West Rand cases, what did we do after Mponeng mine of Anglo Gold Ashanti had positive cases? We went into the community because we want people to understand our testing strategy. So we looked at the mine, yes, all the workers there who had contact with those who tested positive were tested. Over 600 workers were tested. Those who tested positive were quarantined. But we got into the community to search for their contacts, because that's where the critical. And then we put in place an elaborate testing machinery in Kokosi. And that's where we got, in that community, we got a lot more positive cases because of the interaction between a workplace and the community. So we always do that. If a workplace tests positive, we look at where those workers come from. So we must go back to their families and their relatives in that area and find them, and we put them into quarantine, essentially. So these numbers would be coming out of that. We think in a week's time we'll be monitoring. Having traced all those contacts and having tested as many of the contacts as we have done, and just people in the community there, we will reach the level of comfort. So essentially, When we say to you, which we said 2 weeks ago, there is a changing geography of hotspots, we say to you, what may be a hotspot now doesn't mean it will be a hotspot in 2 weeks' time in particular.